But Schwitzgebel and Cushman got quite surprising results here, which is that if people are asked to consider the switch case, i.e., the original trolley problem, should you pull the switch first, whereas bridge second, should you push the fat person over the bridge, they tend to say that it's permissible to pull the lever in the switch, but not permissible to push the man onto the track. And so this is the example of what I was just saying. So this is the order that people typically go for. The interesting result, however, is that if they're given the bridge case first, so if they're asked first, should you push the fat person over the bridge in order to stop the trolley, and then they're asked the switch case, a higher percentage say that it's going to be wrong to pull the lever and switch if they are told about the bridge case first. And so this is really interesting when it comes to should we trust our moral intuitions, because it seems like the order in which we are asked to elicit these moral intuitions affect what the intuitions actually are. However, it doesn't seem like the order in which we consider these cases should be morally relevant. It shouldn't be something that is the kind of information that we should be paying attention to when we're thinking about what our instinctive response is. And so this goes towards setting up an argument for why our intuitions might be a bit unreliable or not trustworthy. Because if our intuitions can be shown to be influenced by factors that are definitely morally irrelevant, then it seems like our intuitions are going to be straying from the moral truth. So the structure of the argument here is as follows. It's optimists about our moral intuitions want to say that our intuitions are going to be reliably tracking onto some kind of moral truth. And this is significant because if we're going to trust them, then it seems like we've got to have some evidence that they're going to be reliable. And yet, when it comes to these kinds of cases, thinking about variation in moral intuition, our moral intuitions seem to be predictably alterable by things which aren't relevant. So when it comes to the order in which you're asked to consider cases, that will likely change the response that you would give, even though our intuitions are meant to be, if we're being optimists, meant to give us some insight into moral truth. But if these things are changing so radically based on irrelevant factors, it doesn't seem like they can be reliable. So a second case that seeks to make a similar point, a second study that seems to seeks to make a similar point, is looking at the influence of cleaning spray on people's moral reactions. And one of the things that is shown in this study, which I'm going to reference at the end so you can go and have a look at it, is the idea that different smells in the environment. So people who are asked to elicit moral intuitions when there is the smell of Lysol, a cleaning spray, in the air, versus people who don't have that smell in the air, give largely different moral responses to problem cases that are posed to them. And again, this suggests that our intuitions are not very stable in the way that the original definition that we gave when we were considering moral intuitions suggests that they should be. And so the worry is that if irrelevant factors can influence our intuitions in ways that we can't detect in the moment, it suggests that we can't rely on them. And so this seems like a pretty serious problem for our moral intuitions if they can be swayed in predictable ways based on factors in the environment without us even knowing about it. This seems like it's going to be a real problem.